Here we have an overhead view of my minecart station, done up in a nifty little diagram. I'm going to use this to demonstrate how my station functions, after which I'll show you why I have it set up that way, and how I accomplished it. So let's roll. In my system, in order to keep it self-regulated, whenever a player gets off of a minecart, that minecart is then sent back to the station it came from. So say we have an empty minecart returning to this station. They'll come up and along, and be instantly diverted into the minecart reloading area, but will be put back in the dispenser to be used by the station again. Let's say another cart comes. This one has a player in it. They'll come along, hit a stone pressure plate, then switch the track so it can go along to the platform. When it hits this pressure plate here, it'll stop and wait for the player to get off so it can come into the platform AFK and not worry. Then it'll boost it along, hit a wooden pressure plate, which activates another booster, to send it back along, and this time will go off, be diverted to the side, and go to the cart return waiting area. Here, the cart will wait for a player with a cart, or cart with a player I mean, to come along and trigger it to follow behind him. Let's say a player presses a button to call a cart, switches the track, and calls a cart from the dispenser, which comes along, and will come up here, land on the wooden pressure plate, and wait for him to get on. If he doesn't get on, it'll boost along, and just return back to the reloading area, where it will switch the track back to normal when it does. Alright, now let's say the player presses the button again to call another cart, switches the track again, the cart will come along, I'll come up here, land on the wooden pressure plate, and wait a few seconds for him to get on. So let's say the player gets on, hits a stone pressure plate, which switches the track to normal, and it'll come out and be diverted along the side here where it hit a stone pressure plate, switching the track so he can go normal, also telling the cart in the waiting area to follow behind him. And every time one goes over the wooden pressure plate, it calls any other cart that's waiting behind that one. First, I want to be reliable, which means no C boosters and no merged minecart boosters either, because both of those can break. Second, I want separate tracks for inbound and departures. Third, when a player rides into a station, his minecart will not leave until he gets out of it. This allows him to go AFK on the long ride over and not have to worry about being at the keyboard when he reaches the station. Fourth, I want carts to come on demand when I push a button. And likewise, I don't want carts left on the track to cause either pile-ups or to accidentally be bumped off the tracks. Fifth, I want it to be self-maintained and self-reloading, so I don't have to do anything manually myself. This is accomplished through a self-regulating system which returns all minecarts to their station of origin by storing them in a cart return area and returning them along with a player when he travels to that station. This minecart storage is necessary because carts sent out on their own will disappear once they reach chunks that are no longer loaded in the memory. So it is necessary for them to be escorted by a cart ridden by a player. In order to facilitate this entire process, the station must be capable of sorting minecarts smartly. This includes differentiating between rider carts and empty carts, as well as where the carts came from or where they're going. And ultimately, timing the combination of all these different variables to make a functioning minecart station. And last, it needs to be smaller than a football field. There's a lot of very impressive minecart stations out there that are just multi-stories tall, huge basements that are just giant things. And they work really nice and they're really cool, but they're just too big for me to fit anywhere I want to use them, and just too many resources taken up. This here is my minecart station. It is pretty old. It is the first complicated thing I ever built in Minecraft, and I actually have never gone around to quite finishing it because I kept tweaking it over and over and over again. So while you're watching this, keep in mind that one, this is before any new booster tracks or detection rails were in, and it was even in before repeaters. This is also where I learned a lot of my redstone and a lot of my minecart stuff. So not everything is as efficient as it could be or as compact as it could be or whatnot, so sorry if it bugs you or aggravates you, but I just sort of, it works for me, and it works right now, so I'm probably not going to fix it just for my own prosperity's sake. Alright, so now that I explained all that, I'm going to show you in person how stuff works. So Just like any good minecart station, there is a sign and a button, or a sign and a pressure plate that says push for cart. So push it, and from over there, cart comes whizzing up, whizzing down, and comes over here. And then it's picked right back up. And if I'm not in it, it gets sent to just be reloaded. I do love that. Alright, so how does that work? So when I press that button, back here, this redstone activates. See it? Look at the old school repeater. And it comes back here, and comes to this RS NOR latch, which is, if you don't know what it is, it's just a very simple circuit that keeps its state whenever you switch it. So when pushing the button activates this stays, or this one will turn on, stay on. And when this turns on, what it does is this little path here goes to this torch, that torch activates that torch, and that torch right there switches this track. When this track switches, this booster comes out of its little booster pattern, comes up here, grabs one of these carts, and sends it on that way, just like we saw to come out over there. Now, when the booster's done boosting this, what it does is it comes around and it hits this booster, or this pressure plate. What that pressure plate does, it's right here. It sends a path of redstone, oops, catch up, through here, around here, back along there, which I went the wrong way, which comes over to here and just switches this RS NOR latch, or resets it, so that track switch goes back to normal, so the booster will go back in its track. The other thing it does is it comes around out here, from right there, comes out this way, and activates this RS NOR latch, which just switches this track piece, so that when the cart is not in use, it'll just go right around, go around this corner, go in there, and that unused cart will come this way and hit this corner piece and then go back up here to be reloaded. And what this does when it hits this little corner piece right here is it activates this redstone. This redstone comes down through here, back through there, and all it does is come out on this far side, recess this RS NOR latch so that this track goes back to how you see it right now, back to normal. So incoming carts go the right way and all that stuff. Now, if there was a person riding that cart that we called when we pushed the button, what would happen is he'd come this way and he'd hit this stone pressure plate if there's a person. That activates this, and that redstone just keeps going along this way, all the way along the side, comes out this way, and also can reset this RS NOR latch so that when the cart comes out with the person on it, it goes out towards the distance instead of back in. Now, let's continue that path, and the guy's riding along in his cart, comes up this way, will hang a right, and go down by this booster. Because there's a person, will activate this pressure plate. And normally a cart would go up that way. But when he activates the pressure plate, I'm not going to do it, but if he activates the pressure plate, it switches this track to go in and take you to the southwest rule. He turns right and goes way off into the distance. Alright, so now let's say we have a cart coming in with that's empty. I can even show you. Empty carts. We'll go off to the side here, go up here, and we'll land right there and be reloaded. Because the empty cart's coming in means that it's a cart that came from this station originally and was sent back by the other station. Now, a person coming in, which is as likely and much more useful, will come this way, come around this corner, will hit this track piece, or this pressure plate right here, which switches this track piece. When it switches, allows him to go straight forward and come up here until he hits this. What I really love about this pressure plate is that it doesn't do anything until it's deactivated instead of activated. So I can come in, be AFK, be on this pressure plate in the minecart for however long I need to be, an hour, 5 minutes, and as soon as you get off, that's when the booster comes along, grabs the cart. How this works is, here's the pressure plate, it activates this, which comes in, and once more, RS NOR latch. It switches that, so that this output changes. When that output changes, this isn't powered, which would allow this torch to turn on, except that this pressure plate also sends power this way, so even though that one turns, this redstone turns off, this one turns on. So this torch is still off. And this torch will stay off until that pressure plate is let go. As soon as this is let go, then this will light up. This redstone path here will light up, get powered, and go all the way around here, down here, around here, over here, up here, until eventually it switches this track, allow the booster to come, just like you saw. Then the booster cart comes out, goes around, and then on its way in, it hits this, and whoop, goes into this booster track. And now, last thing to show you, where am I going? After we get off of this cart. So after we get off the cart, comes around here, hits this, the booster will come around, just like it always does, grabs the cart, comes around, grabs the cart, and this cart is boosted this way. Now because we never hit that button to switch this track will look like this, and the empty cart will go this way. But the empty cart will come around here to the right, not activate this pressure plate, therefore it will come in here, up here, and whoop, I wrecked it, but what it would do is it would come up and it would land right on top of this door, or any other carts on this door. And then, I will show you actually. And here it goes. And they just sort of stack up there, as tall as you want to make it. Then, when a person comes by in a cart and activates this, let me actually prevent them from going off in the Kingdom Come. Alright. So when a cart comes along with the person, touches this, it activates the very first cart. After that, carts start going over this wooden pressure plate, and every time it goes over the wooden pressure plate, it activates the door again. And again, and again, and again, until we're out of cart, and then it stops working. See, it only works once if I press it. And what that does is it just sends a really quick pulse through here using a repeater and an RS NOR latch again. It just quickly opens the store super fast, so it only allows one cart to fall. That's how the carts will follow the player back to their original station. And it only works if they're following a player, because if they go off by themselves, they will just sort of keep going until they reach unloaded chunks, and they will just stop and unload, and they won't actually go where you need them to go. So let me just show you some examples. So I'm coming in, whee! I go straight just like I want. I hit this, I don't go anywhere until I get off. I get off. It grabs the cart, swings it around, and let's run over here real quick, see if we can catch it fast enough. Comes around this way, goes in there, and gets loaded. Hurrah! Empty cart comes in. Comes up, gets loaded. Hurrah! I call a cart. And it would normally go back, but I'm going to just ride it. Actually, this is what you normally would do, is you'd ride the cart, but anyways. Ride the cart. Yay! Whee! Over here. Go around the side. It would keep going that way forever and ever and ever, and it just sends all the carts after me. And that's how my system works. Now I will hopefully design one that's a little more efficient and uses the new boosters and is less prone to glitches. So right now this one's completely reliable, but I'm assuming that it'll be patched soon. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm not really planning on... Ooh, I guess I hit this on the way out. Not really planning on doing a tutorial of this because it's sort of old and really complicated and it took me forever to make. What I might be doing in the future though is, as soon as I make a new minecart station, is doing tutorials on each of the individual sections so that you can add them any way you want, add multiples, not add them, and just sort of build modular like. So thank you for watching, and here's poor Tiger. He's not allowed near the minecarts anymore, not after what happened before. He's had too many adventures. Right? Yeah. Good Tiger. Well, thanks for watching everybody.